Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village called Awaka, there was a young man named Ikenna. He wasn't just any student. He was a storm in human form, a force that nobody dared to reckon with. His presence in Awaka Secondary School was enough to send shivers down the spines of students and teachers alike, and no one, not even the principal, could control him. His reputation had already been written in the halls of the school, in whispers, in fear, and in legend. Ikenna was not a man of words. He didn't need to speak to command respect. All he had to do was look at you, and you knew you were in trouble if you crossed him. He didn't smile, and he didn't engage with people the way others did. If you ever saw Ikenna walking down the hall, you quickly made way for him. If you dared to sit next to him in class, you made sure you didn't breathe too loudly. You knew better than to disturb the silence around him. The air felt heavier whenever he entered the room, and students, teachers, and even the principal quickly learned that when Ikenna was around, trouble followed. But Ikenna wasn't just feared because of his size, strength, or cold demeanor number. He was feared because of the reputation he had built through years of defiance. You see, while other students were just starting out in their school careers at the tender age of 16 or 17, Ikenna had already been in school for over 7 years. He was 22 years old when he was still in secondary school. He had repeated classes so many times that it became a running joke among the students. Some of them called him Uncle, but not in a respectful way. They said it because in a school full of teenagers, Ikenna was practically an adult. But he wasn't like the other adults either. Ikenna wasn't someone who followed rules, who cared about what was expected of him. Ikenna was wild. He came to school when he wanted, and he didn't care about homework or the structure of classwork. He treated the classrooms like his personal playground, lying down and taking naps as if he was at home. His teachers tried to keep him in line, but every time they approached him, he would either ignore them or mock them. When one of his teachers tried to explain the lesson, Ikenna would yawn in their face, making it clear that whatever they had to say didn't matter to him. No one could control him. Not the teachers, not the principal, not the headmaster. Ikenna was a hurricane, a lion in a room full of sheep. If there was peace in the school, Ikenna would disrupt it. If there was silence, he would bring chaos. If you looked at him the wrong way, you could be sure that you would face his wrath. He didn't care who you were, whether you were a student, a teacher, or the principal. If you crossed him, you paid the price. One day, it all came to a head. It started like any other day. The sun was high in the sky as the students gathered for the first lesson of the day. They had no idea what was about to happen. Ikenna, as usual, strolled in late. His walk was slow, like he owned the place. He chewed gum lazily, his hands tucked into his pockets. He didn't hurry. He had all the time in the world. The students watched as he made his way to his seat. Chinonso, a senior student, was on gate duty that day. He noticed Ikenna's late arrival and felt a sense of frustration welling up inside him. This wasn't the first time Ikenna had shown up late, and Chinonso had had enough. He decided it was time to teach him a lesson. "Ikenna," Chinonso called, his voice firm but calm. "Why are you just coming now?" Ikenna, chewing gum without a care in the world, didn't even acknowledge Chinonso's question. He blew a bubble and popped it, then continued walking without saying a word. Chinonso frowned. He wasn't going to let this slide. "I said, why are you late?" Chinonso repeated, louder this time. Ikena didn't respond. He simply popped another bubble with his gum, as if Chinonso's words meant nothing. "I'm talking to you," Chinonso snapped, growing angry. "Go and kneel down." The students who had gathered nearby watched in anticipation. They knew Ikena. They had all heard the rumors about him, but Chinonso was no weakling either. He was one of the toughest seniors in school, and he wasn't about to let Ikena get away with this. But Ikena didn't move. His eyes were cold, his face expressionless. Chinonso's frustration boiled over. "Are you deaf?" he shouted, raising his cane. He swung it at Ikena, landing a blow across his back. The whole school went silent, but Ikena didn't flinch. He didn't even blink. "You think that's going to stop me?" Ikena said in a low, menacing tone, his voice dripping with disdain. Chinonso raised the cane again, but Ikena was faster. With the quick motion, he grabbed the cane mid-air and snapped it in two like it was nothing. "I'm not scared of you," Ikena said, his voice calm but filled with contempt. The students who were watching stood frozen in shock. No one had ever seen anyone stand up to Chinonso like this. He was the king of the school, and now Ikena had broken him in front of everyone. Chinonso stepped back, realizing that he had made a mistake. But Ikena wasn't finished. He shoved Chinonso aside and continued walking through the gates like nothing had happened. The students who had been watching whispered in hushed tones. "That was insane," one of them muttered. But what happened next was even more shocking. After the final bell rang, when most students had already left for home, Ikena stayed behind. He didn't rush. He stood outside the gate, arms crossed, waiting. It was like he had all the time in the world. It wasn't long before Chinonso, still seething with anger, walked out with a group of his friends. They were laughing, unaware of what was about to happen. But as soon as they stepped out of the school gate, Ikena was waiting for them. Without a word, Ikena grabbed Chinonso by the collar and dragged him behind the school wall. The other students who had stuck around stood in shock, watching in disbelief. "What are you doing?" Chinonso gasped, struggling to free himself. Ikena didn't say a word. He just slammed Chinonso into the wall with a force that left everyone speechless. Then, without hesitation, Ikena started beating him. Punches, kicks, and slaps rained down on Chinonso. Every time he tried to get up, Ikena knocked him back down again. But Ikena wasn't done. He grabbed a handful of dirt and shoved it into Chinonso's mouth. "Swallow it," Ikena commanded. "You're not a leader." "You never were," as Ikena walked away, leaving Chinonso bruised and broken on the ground. The students who had witnessed it all whispered among themselves. They couldn't believe what they had just seen. But this was just the beginning of Ikena's reign. What happened next would shake the foundation of Awaka Secondary School forever. Would there finally be someone who could stand up to Ikena? Or was this just the beginning of his unstoppable rise? Don't miss part 2 of the story. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for the shocking turn of events. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.